What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Outside the Clutch. Man, 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a long stretch. A lot of time without y'all. I apologize for it. Arvin, what's good? Thanks for coming in, man. As you guys come in, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you show your support. Tonight, we have a round two with someone that I really look up to. He does amazing work with Terrapins, and just his love and admiration for sometimes I'm going to say the forgotten stepchild of the reptile industry is just great. I'm really excited to have Mr. Ed Komara of Komara Outdoors back on here. We're going to be showing off some turtles, some terrapins, having some fun because we didn't get to do that the first episode. And we're just going to have a good time. It's kind of that little leeway back into podcasting after a 2-week break, right? Couple quick updates real quick. We had a great time at Pomona. If you've never been to a West Coast show, I'm telling you, you want to go check out some of those super shows on the West Coast. They're freaking amazing. I love them. Look forward to stepping out there as a vendor here in the future. So that's going to be our goal for next year. We're getting close to Arlington. Arlington's coming up quick. We're going to be out there vending, of course. I want to see everyone coming out, hanging out. I want to make this Arlington the biggest one yet. I would really like to see just kind of the feel that you get at like a Tinley and at one of the West Coast shows where it's almost like a house party for everyone. I'd like to see that come to Arlington, but still maintain that, okay, we're here to buy, we're here to kind of learn from each other atmosphere that Arlington brings, right? So I want to thank everyone that comes in, everyone that supports the show. I know it's a little crazy with the back and forth and the traveling. It's just hard to do podcasts when you're traveling, but we're set up for about the next month and a half, 2 months for guests. So there will not be another break except for Arlington. I'm not going to try to force that much into that weekend. I'm learning to take it a little bit easier as I'm getting older. As we jump into talking about all of our stuff, this show would not be available. Well, it would be available, but it wouldn't be where it is at this point, right? Without our sponsors and the people that support us, the guests that watch, just all of it, man. Like without y'all, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. And I want to give some love to our sponsors. So without further ado, let's say thank you to them. Here at Outside the Clutch, we're honored to be sponsored by VivTech. Are you ready for innovation? Tired of the same boring product that's been used for 30 years? Ready to give your reptiles and amphibians the UV they really deserve? Then look no farther than VivTech. Their 3-watt LED bulbs provide the UV rays your animals have been missing. With 3 bulbs to fit your pet's climate needs, plus a dimmable feature, it's the only bulbs we use for UV. And it's the only bulb with a 2-year warranty in the industry. Plus now you can monitor all your pet's husbandry from your phone 24/7 with their sensors, and even ship your customers' animals in their custom bags. So what are you waiting for? Go to VivTechProducts.com today, use code FCLUTCH0322 for 15% off, and provide your animals the best care they've ever had. Get on that chip life. Are you ready for the best coconut substrate in the game? Then you gotta get ReptiChip. First off, it's America's chip because it's veteran owned. Secondly, why wouldn't you want the best cocoa chip for your animals? Go to ReptiChip.com, use code FEELYCHIPPIN for 10% off up to 3 breeder blocks, or your entire order of Easy Hatch trays or any Redline Science equipment on the site. Limit 1 coupon per customer. Or reach out to me as a representative in the El Paso area, and don't forget to join the Reptilution, where all profits go to helping those in need within the reptile community. And finally, Show Me Snake shows. Hey, if you're checking out any show, it should be a Show Me Snake show. He does an amazing job at these shows. He's just getting better. I really enjoy what they're doing. Just a family-friendly experience that allows for the best out of all of us. Whether you're doing hots, you're doing ball pythons, you're doing any number of species, right? That's what I talk about because that's what I focus on. This weekend, oh my Lord. You know what? They changed their website and it is making it harder to tell you what's coming up. Let me see here. How do you feed through these? There we go. Figured it out, y'all. Figured it out. So let's go back. So you have Gadsden, Alabama next weekend, and then Tulsa, Oklahoma the first weekend of September, Springfield, Massachusetts the second weekend of September, along with Orlando, Florida. So if you're near any of those areas, make sure you show up to a Show Me Snake show. Let them know that you heard it on Outside the Clutch. Let them know how much you enjoy this podcast and enjoy their shows. All right, without further ado, we're burning daylight for Mr. Ed Komara. We want to make sure we could see some turtles, some terrapins. We're going to have some fun today. So y'all give some love up to Mr. Ed Komara, Komara Outdoors.
Hey, what's up, brother?
What's going on, my man? How
you doing? Buddy. Dude, you hear me all right?
Yeah, I got you. You got me?
I'm good.
Okay.
So, kind of humbling that you actually look up to me. I don't know. It can't be physically.
No, I think we stand about the same.
Probably, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. Age is starting to take me down a little bit, man.
I'll
be drop a little bit.
Out next month, so that's good to be back, man. You know, I love you. I love everything you do, stand for, and you know that speaks more than what we could ever want in the hobby and community, and and everything we love. You know, especially as animals, man. Like if you put the animals first, you can't go wrong. So.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate that. So let's jump into it, man. We did not get to see any sort of animals last time you were on, mainly because it was like the dead of winter. Everything was in brumation, and we brought you back on, and it is baby season at Komara Outdoors. Like it is, they're coming out.
It's busy season. Because like you got babies and all stuff. But like when you're dealing with turtles and babies, man, like how methodical I try to do things, man. Like it's work, and but I love it. This is what I live for and strive for, because I might not produce by the hundreds, but what you see is what you get, and it's the best of the best. So I take intricate care on every single turtle and get to analyze it, get to know it, make sure it's eating. I mean, it's on top of everything I'm doing, with everything else, but I love it, man. So I'm excited by the end of the podcast to show you the babies, because I got a lot more to show you guys today.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So what would you like to kind of unveil, not unveil, but like bring out first, because you work with a wide variety of animals?
Yeah, I work probably more variety than I ever thought I would, honestly. I went to school for wildlife management, and I found my passion through reptile handling, through college, and through zoos and sanctuaries. If you look at my logo, it's a two-tone, right? Which a lot of people would be like, well, what are you? What do you do? Well, I'm not a one-all be-all. When you see, the white-tailed deer, well, that's a native species. That's a native species, and just hunting, sports, fishing, that's part of my heritage. Then you see the flip side, you see a turtle, and then you're like, okay, what is that? So it's like, I feel like it's kind of like I don't want to say sometimes a contradiction, but like most people probably don't understand the depth of that logo in and of itself, because that's my dad's deer. That's on my arm. That's hung in my wall. It's heritage. That's why my my slogan is where roots run deep, because you always have to remember where you come from, but never forget that. But also, no matter where you go, let that still be a landmark, and, in your future, and now my future is, guess what? Reptile. And it has been probably for the past, 15, 20 years, and because we have the privilege to be able to keep them and to work with them more so than, the native species like deer and mammals and stuff like that, so.
I think it's awesome, really. There's always been kind of that message within a message that you do in every aspect that you do, and we're gonna touch your different programs that you essentially do a little bit like what we did last time.
Of course.
Um,
I mean, even if you look at my logo, take a good look at my logo. I mean, most people, when I do my programs, they don't realize in the middle you have where the roots run deep. You see the roots, where the roots go up to. They form a cross. I mean,
I freaking love it.
I'm not hiding anything, but it's one of those things where, man, like where my heart is, where my ministry is, what I do, it's so much more than just doing, what I do. I want to impact not just lives, I want to impact hearts, and I want to see everyone succeed. Like most people don't want that. Most people don't want that, especially, you can probably vouch. Most people don't want in the reptile community, especially, for everyone to succeed. Whether you're turtles, whether you're ball pythons, whether you're retics, whether you're bones, whether you're whatever, I don't care. Well, if we want everyone to succeed, then we don't have to hold back at all.
Absolutely. That I think that falls into whatever hobby or industry or whatever you go into, right? Like you're always going to have those people that genuinely want to see everybody succeed, but the vast majority you're going to see, okay, well, I'll applaud you when it's helpful for me, so to speak. You know what I mean? But let's not dwell on stuff like that. Let's focus on what's good. And good is our ability to kind of see beyond what this world has kind of given as far as like people or even what we do to habitats, right? But what I would say is good is the animals we get to work with, because let's face it, it definitely is a privilege. It's something that you and I both fight for very strongly with the USARK. You have done extensive work to actually really help us be able to keep multiple species here that are within the United States. Unfortunately, in Texas, why Texas is like this? You made me fall in love with the Diamondback Terrapins last time, and that's like the one aquatic turtle that I cannot have in Texas, and it drives me nuts.
Oh, the crazy thing about that is that, it's the legalities that, you were and can outside of the native species. And then recently they just changed it to where it's like you can't keep that at all. And that's exactly what FWC did, and I'm not gonna, shoot any fire, but like, I've worked with USARK and Daniel Parker a lot extensively. And when it comes down to it, the reality is that or the officers being trained to be able to spotlight the subspecies, to be able to actually distinguish them to where if you're owning this or that, then guess what? You're good or you're not. They don't want to do that, and guess what? They just kind of like blacklist it. So you just kind of like it's a cover blanket, and it's unfortunately because we're missing out on so many people that can love and appreciate the species and grow with it as a domesticated, captive born produced animal, not a wild animal, right? Where that hinders people because guess what? If You don't. I mean, the thing about with terrapins is that even if I was down in Florida for 11, 12 years, guess how many terrapins I saw in the wild? And I
You ain't
kayaked,
gonna see him. You're not gonna see him.
kayaked, tried to find. I went down to Key West and even kayaked 5, 6 miles. Like these guys are elusive, so they deserve the credit, but are they getting the backup from us? So you can protect them all you want vicariously, but are you helping to promote conservation on top of that? And a part of the hobby that I love is that I got my degree and all this stuff with it, but I got a hobby and conservation educational background where I can combine them. My biggest thing with Komara Outdoors is to be able to bridge that gap. There's not many people trying to bridge that gap between scientific, and then education and hobbyists and keeping. And that's my goal. We can't be like that no more. And I've learned more from this species keeping them than I promise you. Challenge any scientist in the world. I've learned in the past 13 years keeping them as a hobbyist than any scientist in the hobby. Trying to like search them and trying to do the radio tracking, radio telemetry. I've done that too, but it's so far and few between. And you just got to get to know the animal for what it is, and you just can't get to know that unless you're keeping it and watching over it. And that's kind of like why I kind of fell in love with terrapins. It's like no one's keeping them, and the people that are, it kind of went under the radar. And that's fine with them. But I really care. You see my logo, you see all this stuff. I invest a lot into trying to promote this species because there's a problem when I do my reptile show locally, and I'm the first one you come up to. I'm the first table. They did that purposely because I help with work the show. I'm the first table you come up to, and unanimously, I don't think there's one person that's ever said like, "What's not that?" or that's known what that is. Every single time, what is that? Wow, it's like there's a problem there. Especially when it's our own animal. I know you work with ball python stuff, and that's overseas and imported and grown and established, but like when you're talking about our own animal,
Yep.
no, we have a lot of work to do, man.
I agree. We all had kind of that one love when we first came into reptiles. It kind of makes you choose what path you go down initially, right? Some of us do a better job of staying focused in it than others. Some of us just go stir crazy with everything once we get adult money. So growing up, my favorite cartoon, and that's kind of where the title of this podcast came up this time was I think it's coming back relevant. So my kids have seen like 2 different generations of Ninja Turtles come out, right? My favorite thing as a kid was watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was always a freaking Raphael fan. Like I was that guy. So like if you watched X-Men, I was always about Wolverine because he had an anger issue. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I clicked with Raphael because he had an anger issue, right? And it was just that thing. But I religiously watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You would think with the way I was, I would have went Turtles. When did your love for turtles start, and what made you decide that this is what I have to work with?
I'd say the love for turtles started college, actually before college. So, born and raised hunting, fishing. My dad would always take me out in backwoods. He's hunting, scouting. I'm looking at the logs and stuff, finding garter snakes, all that kind of stuff. But I'm not finding turtles. It wasn't until I went. Actually, I'll tell you right now. It wasn't until I went to my first reptile show. There was a hole in the wall, that I was like my mind was blown because I was like, what is that? What is this? And they weren't morphs back then. They was like standard. So I, vicariously, I loved reptiles. I did, man. But part of me just loved aquatic, right? To where I love reptiles, I love aquatic. The only bridge in the gap, the perfect kind of like marriage was, turtles, right? Um, it was until I started like owning. Like you said, you can own everything. I own painteds. I own Mississippi's. I own terrapins. I own cooters. I own everything. Snappers. I mean, me and my dad grew up going to snapper ponds up and down the highway, setting snapper traps for common snapper turtles. That's how I was born and raised. I love the water. I wasn't all about the water, but I love reptiles. So it's a perfect marriage. And that's kind of where the turtles kind of like played into part because that's where I got more into them, keeping multiple different species. And it wasn't until I went to college and then I had to dwindle down, keep what I kept. Then that's when I started going to like a bunch of reptile shows, then seeing exposed to a lot of different things, right? And the terrapins, man, like you can't tell me if you see a baby diamondback terrapin that there is anything, anything would never catch your eye more than that. I don't care who you are, where you came from. If you see a baby diamondback terrapin, which you will see by the end of this podcast, you can't help but to fall in love. And I did. And when I got more involved with it and more experience with it and keeping and it just when I found out that you know there's a there's something that when you go to a bunch of reptile shows, you see one, you maybe see two. Well, they're wholesale. They're not like, so I saw a market for that. So I invested all in with not only what I own, but what I saw down the line, which we can talk about, that's a whole nother podcast. But I saw that, this species, especially because they're our species here at home, it just it made me realize, if you're at home, you got to take care of home base above all else, right? Okay, who you are, you have to protect home base, and that's pretty much what made me fall in with turtles and especially terrapins, man. Like I just and the uniqueness of them that not only just because of that, but like their personality, their brackish water, they're different. They're just like they're a different caliber. And I'd say that because they're not harder to take care of as long as you've actually owned a turtle before. It just takes more investment because you invest in one of my animals because they're like, man, like the price tag is like, bro, like my minimum, my terrapins, not to get disclosure wise, is 500, and I've had 2, 3K. I mean, like, but what you see is what you get. I invest daily into keeping, into feeding, into making sure this thing's well established. Like you only need to get the most socialized, best acclimated animal that you're gonna get because I'm not gonna sell that or whether you have it, whether you don't. But I care about the animal more than anything, and that's I think why I probably had I don't even want to use the word success. I think that's why I've had as much uh, respect in what I do because the people that I think about it is what you guys are going to see today when I show you different kind of reptiles, whether it's terrapins, whether it's snappers, whether it's snakes. I've actually tried to be, a backseat in it all because what I do is like, okay, I don't know about this species. You think Facebook, Google, all this other crap is going to tell you everything you need to know, right? So I reached out to the people that I connected with the most, that were invested in it. Like I have the heart to. Snapper turtles, you see, I got Rex, I got T-Bone, I got Hobbs. I mean, those are people would dream about what I have. But I actually reach out to people that's been doing 40 years plus with the species to try to, I humble myself. How do I keep them? How do I get the most out of the species? How do I, care for them best? All this kind of stuff to where most people be like, okay, you keep them and whatever. Well, that's not how I roll, man. Like I want to make sure the animal comes first. And the only way I can do that to the utmost is make sure that I can learn from the pioneers before me. And man, like so many people, I don't say so many people don't want to do that, but like that's almost not even an option nowadays. They just do it and they go with the flow. Like I'm sure you've had a pioneer, right? That you reach out to, right?
Yeah. No,
So
absolutely. It's one of those things, man. Like, I think you find it regardless of the um, hobby that you jump in, right? Like, as we progress multiple generations, like you got to think reptiles have been a thing for 60-ish years, give or take,
yeah, most
in
people
the United States.
when I do my programs, the crazy thing is like they think it's so crazy. I'm like, you do realize these guys have been domestically produced for just as long as a lot of dog and cat species. Like they're not wild animals, and most people don't know that. But I'm not coming against them. But my shows and my education allows to impart that to where they're like, oh, like you know what? These people are fed media.
Right.
They're not fed what needs to be fed. And dude, I don't care about stepping on toes anymore because I love to be transparent and honest the best way I can because if you don't, the kids suffer, the future generations suffer. So guess what? What you see is what you get with me. But I promise you, when someone reaches out to me, they're like, I just okay. Just for instance, just not to go on a rabbit trail, but like, so I just did my local reptile show, right? It's every other month, and I'm a big part of it. I'm the first one when the people walk in, and I go by the law. Guess what? Turtles, you're stimulated. So guess what? 4-inch law. No matter where you go, what do I bring? I bring my whole backs that are 4 inches plus to show off because I'm not looking to sell. I'm looking to promote and to educate. So when you come to my table, you're getting the education, what it is, how it's cared for. And I mean, it was vicariously, so many people would walk by my table, get so enlightened by that, but they go to other tables and they get like kind of like shoot off when they'd ask questions. And I'm talking about people that would get shoot off because they have baby turtles that are just probably just hatched, which is like, you do you, man, but I'm not going to do that. So, what are we doing here? Like,
I
even
think
if,
that's why it's important, man. Like what you do on, you're a breeder, and we're never going to take anything away from the fact that you breed some exceptional animals, right? But your focus has never been, hey, I breed these animals. Your focus has always been the education aspect. And I think that's something that the industry as a whole, while we say, hey, you need, like, we'll educate you and we'll help you and we'll mentor you and we'll do all this to get our sale, but buy our snake first, buy our axolotl first, buy our lizard first, and then let us educate you. Whatever issues you have, we'll make sure you're set, right? Because it's all about that dollar. And
yeah,
it's one of the hard things to get through to people. You don't realize that bond that you take. And I'm not saying everyone does this by any means, I'm
I
just
don't,
saying that
I don't know.
overwhelmingly, if you watch a show, like I walked one of the biggest shows in the country this weekend. It's 3 acres of vendors.
But when I saw you doing that, dude, it hurts me so much because I see you doing that. I see Daytona coming up. I'm like, I was in Daytona.
Right now, Daytona's this weekend.
Ah, guess what? I'm going to Tinley, guys. I will be in Tinley. Better believe it. But still, man, like, to be a part of, I've never been a part of the West Coast. I was living in Florida doing it before a lot of the laws. So I know, but still, man, like it's just I think we need to like, no, I'm not saying we need to, but like the excitement and the thrill we get for those shows, man, like if we continue that on throughout the year and let that kind of like fill our tank, man, dude, what kind of impact would we have? You know, man, like that, the daily grind is so monotonous. You
But
can
if
attest.
you even talk to them, like that's the point that I was getting to. Like I walked 3 acres of vendors, 3 freaking acres of vendors. Like we're talking 200 plus vendors, bro,
Bro.
easily. And the education aspect was not there. It was just, hey, this is what this is. If you pair it with this, it'd be cool. If you have any questions, let me know. Um, just
Hey,
just the simple customer service, open, close. If you're not making a sale, I don't care. That's where we're losing it. I think if you put that education aspect in, it makes your customer service pitch so much better. And
I,
it sounds wrong saying it's a pitch because it's really not a pitch. You want to make sure your animals are cared for,
well,
but it's a pitch. When you're at the show and you're vending, it's a pitch.
yeah, but guess what? What it also comes down to is confidence. You're confident in what you have and what you produce, so much so that you don't care what the next person is doing. So that negates all the, wrong motives. People know when you're right or wrong. People know when you're bullshitting them, and I hate to use that term blatantly, but guess what? People know when you're being salesy, right? So when you're open, honest, you love what you do, are confident in what you have, it does not matter who crosses your table. You love the animal so that it exudes and expresses every single person that walks by your table. Dude, I do my big show every other month. Every single time I do that, I lose my voice. How many people doing a program at a local show that, we're growing, we have 100 vendors plus, but still they're losing their voice talking. I promise you, man, I'm losing my voice because I'm going to A to Z on people have never experienced what I'm offering, but I'm not trying to sell them because they're like, how much? I'm like, look, wait, slow down. I said, look, let's backtrack. Let's talk. Right? They're like, taken back because I'm not giving them a money like order. Well, that that's not how I roll. I said, look, let's talk about this. And you're like, then they're like instantly drawn in because they're like, okay, talk to me. Like, they're gonna go through every single table just for like, that looks cool, and even if they have a spark of interest, they're like, how much is that? And they get sell price and they like keep walking. There's no dude, if someone was like coming to them, they're like, okay, they see a price on that animal, but why is the price like it is?
Right.
Where did I get it from? How did I upbring it? How did I breed it? How did I promote it? what's the characteristics that you're going to glean from it? Because a lot of times when I show my animals, especially my terrapins, they look great, dude. I'm not gonna lie, they look great. But I show them pictures when they're hatchlings, they look totally different. And then when I amp it up and say, hey, look, even what you see today, they're gonna even be another level beyond that. And I show them pictures right there and there. Like, and I'm like, you just like, man, like they're just they can't help but to fall just not only in love, but you just totally infatuate them of the possibilities, and with that comes investment in the animal because we want investment in animal, right? It's not, I don't care about, you spend $3,000 on my top-notch animal. I don't care about that. But when you do that, if you do that, you know what it takes to get there, where it took to get there, where guess what? You know the history of that animal and the gene line and all this stuff to where you're not just getting an animal that looks cool.
Absolutely.
I'm
So
so
let's.
passionate about it. I'm sorry, man.
You're good. You're good.
So
I'm waiting to see if I might have to mute on my end because it's baby feeding day. So I have a bunch of baby snakes and rodents sitting like right here.
I'm gonna have to probably
The
go.
mic if need.
Want me to go? I think it's probably about time. What, it's 9? It's about.
Yeah, we're about 40 in right now. I
So I
think
think
I think we made the people listen to us.
so. I think hopefully they did, and if they did not, then guess what? They're going to now because I think I'm looking at some pretty much some good stuff right now that I can start here. I'll go around the outside just with spotlights to give perspective wise. I'm not showboating, but just perspective wise because big thing about me is that I love to, like you mentioned with the brumation, because most people didn't get to see the brumation state with the terrapin, because I love to give my animals the naturalistic style of throughout the year of like, hey, look, you know, I don't keep them temperature acclimated throughout the year because that'll throw them off. You can keep them like that, no hard feelings. But like if you're breeding, the best thing you can do for your females and everything like that is to brumate them the natural cycle to where when they come out of it, guess what, man? Like don't take like 2 weeks to get them, gravid, So
Right.
I'll spotlight a couple of different areas and you guys might get a hint of T-Bone, which is probably one of the biggest, well, I don't say like in the country, but probably one of the biggest in captivity, I can venture to say. And you know, and maybe you'll get a surprise with the I haven't released my official video yet with my unboxing, but I feel like there's no better time than to do it tonight. And I will release the video tomorrow to where if you watch this video, guess what, man? Like you get a little glimpse, I believe in compensating because guess everyone that watches this video and anyone else kind of like they're invested in you, and guess what? I believe in that investment. So
Heck yeah. I appreciate that. That's freaking huge. Like I wish I would have known that. I would have used that to hype it up so much.
I was gonna do it, and I thought about. I was like, man, like I don't. I'm not like you know me. Like I'm not. I'm just trying not to get attention.
It's
But
fine. We'll keep it quiet and let the Daytona people have their Daytona moment and be like, "You're at Daytona. We did this."
kind of what it seems like, right? So I was like, I seen it was a little quiet, so I was like, I'm gonna hold off till tomorrow and do the big box reveal. I already did, obviously, and the editing videos and stuff like that. So yeah, man. So
Heck yeah.
let me
So
know. Get
let's
ready to
do
roll and
some
tour
turtles.
of the kind of like facility, quote unquote. I don't like to use that quote, but that's what most people think, when they're outside the box. So all right, so as you can see, I have a whole big. So this is a garage, right? So it works perfect because it's not inside. I don't have it insulated. to where these guys get to naturally get to experience the coldness.
Okay.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I just put you up so that we could see it better.
Perfect. Yeah, it helps me a lot. So they get to naturally get to experience, what they would in the wild, right? So, oh man. So my knees are not like what they used to be. So how do I flip this camera though? Can I flip the camera somehow?
I don't know if you're going to be able to flip it through.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you. So this is Hobbs. Hobbs is about 108 pounds last time he was scaled. He came in from Arkansas. If you follow me on my media by any means, I did a big relocation with Aquascape and all that stuff. There was the top-notch people in the turtle industry working on this project. I was blessed enough to be able to actually get all my permits to be able to get this guy all the way up from Arkansas. So he's in a smaller enclosure. Don't get me wrong, don't hate, but I'm trying to acclimate him, get him adjusted, all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna try to bring him up actually, because he's pretty good, when I move him over. But so this is Hobbs.
That is a big snapper, bro.
So that's my hand.
Yeah.
So
Its head's freaking like 3 times the size of your hand.
so that's Hobbs. T-Bone's bigger. Then we move over to the side because I do a lot of programs. So Rex, who is pretty much what you see on a lot of my pictures, he's about 70, 75 pounds. Still big turtle, right? But he's way more acclimated to handling. So he's right here.
And y'all that are just getting an audio version later, that's a cool. Oh my gosh.
So definitely pretty, not as big, but very well demeanored. Been doing programs prior for the past 20, 25 years. And then we move on.
The colors on him, though, man.
Oh,
the colors on him are insane.
He's right. So the thing about Rex is that Rex is actually captive born. So as old as Rex is, probably about 60 plus years old, that's a captive born animal. That's why you see the glimmer, the golden shell, and stuff like that. So, seeing a lot. Most people don't realize these animals have been around in the block for a while. So you can't see a whole lot because they're actually trying to eat. So I'm going to try to show you without being able to see myself. But so, as you can see, all the way down the block, I have every single enclosure Waterland tub, because I'm actually the Mideast distributor for Waterland tubs, which most people know. I try to promote a little bit because it's almost like you cannot reinvent the wheel with Waterland tubs. If you're trying to get into aquatics, you're not going to get any better with Waterland tubs. You're just not. You can plumb them. You can make them how you want them. If you can see, I've got plants. I got a mural planted behind it, painted behind it. Try to do the best I can to promote the species. So I'm going to take a couple out.
We were talking about educating on it, right? So kind of walk it while you're getting ready to pull one out. Walk us through kind of what the setup takes and kind of what we're looking at cost-wise for those that are listening right now.
Yeah, so these are large. So these are the largest that Waterland tub has. They hold about 200 plus gallons, and they're almost 9 foot long. But they're like, you look at them, they're boom, 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 stack them, easy to clean. If you look, I built custom PVC ramps that come up and out of them off the outside. It's almost like a plug and play. Plug a light, plug a filter, plug a heat, plug everything, and you're good to go, right? And they're easy to clean. They look slick. for what you're gonna spend at a pet store that doesn't look near what your animal probably should have for longevity, you're not gonna beat them. So most people kind of like tailor make them to their suit. Like you'll see later on, these are the largest, and I have the smaller ones down in the basement for the hatchlings and the grouse and the juveniles. I actually have them on rack systems to where you can plumb them all the way on a rack system to drain them, to clean them, to they're so efficient. If you're in the ball python community, you know what I'm talking about.
That's insane.
The rack system. But that doesn't mean you negate the care and what it takes to invest in the animal to make sure they have everything they need, right? So there's no difference there. So the cool thing is that these waterland tubs, so if you look, I have plants, substrate. This thing holds probably about a couple 100 pounds of sand, substrate if you want to. I actually have insulation on the bottom of them to help reinforce the temperature acclimation of actually the substrate. So there's a kind of a little bit of buffer there, but
It's
as you
kind of
can
like the housing insulation. Do you just kind of like wrap it and then lay
so
the sand on top?
housing insulation that's probably about 2-3 inches thick. Then you have on one side, it's kind of like what you call it? It's I don't know what you call it, but you can put any insulation you want. But it's just that buffer to where if I have these on the ground, which I do, but if you notice, I have inch thick stall mats on the bottom of the concrete to help alleviate the temperature of the concrete during the wintertime. I'm in Ohio, man. It gets negative 20 degrees. So, but the thing is, I tarp all these guys. I tarp them totally during the wintertime. I clamp them shut, the whole entire thing. I put heaters in there, and the heaters run probably about 59 degrees. At the lowest, I like to get them to where it's not too cold to where they can acclimate and go to sleep. And then they brumate from November all the way to March. So it takes a lot of diligency, no animals also. But so if you notice, here's one of my standout girls that actually produced some life. She actually got egg bound last year, and I took everything I had from the vet.
This is the one we talked about in the first podcast, right?
Probably
one where you had to like help work the egg out. Hold on, don't move that camera. Look at how pretty those are, man. Like I don't think there's a
there you got big mama
turtle, man. Terrapin. You're gonna have to correct me like multiple times tonight, but look at that's insane. Like
then you got the blue fades. So this is a male. So males are always smaller than the females.
And that's full size. They're not going to get much bigger than that.
That's a full size male.
Okay.
Males get about 5.5 inches max. But yeah, man. And then I work on this species that's pretty much, this is the other subspecies that has more bold spots. More chestnut feel.
Mm-hmm. How cool are those, man?
It looks like a clown, right?
Yeah, like that turquoise and then the spotting all over. That's just, or like, it's not even a turquoise. It's almost like a baby blue.
Right? So, I have multiple different things that I work with. And then you got these guys that are, I'll say an overflow, but, they stir. Look, I mean, if you want, I come up, guess what? You get head scratches. These guys are puppy dog tame. I mean, these are guys that's been in captivity for a long time, but they want that interaction. It's not like a normal turtle that's just like, it's just, they almost, not only do they demand that like respect, but like they want it, which makes you want to more invest in them, right? So this is just some of my adult setup, and I can go all day, but I'm gonna get the spotlight. and we're gonna go a little bit.
While you're running outside, hopefully we don't lose you doing this. I think
No,
we
I
should.
don't think we will.
Um, let's talk about legality of
Yeah.
because since it is an indigenous species to the United States, what's some of the things that you had to do specifically for your state, or things that you look at for the people that are reaching out to purchase one of your animals?
So actually, I didn't have to do anything.
Good.
Ohio, there's no legalities with it. It's mainly, I have so many people contact me about that, and the problem is with terrapins is that they're cracking down more. So in the past year or 2 years now, right? It was lenient. When I was down in Florida, they were lenient, right? It was like you can keep two per person per household per whatever, and now they're changing everything to where you can't at all. So me in Ohio, you'll never, you never will or should never experience a concern with owning this species if you're not in the coastal range. That means New Jersey, Maryland, Carolinas, Florida, all the ones that go up and down the coastline, Texas, Louisiana, Florida. Those are the ones that you're gonna experience legalities because they're native to there, to some extent. So, but inland, if they're inland, you're not gonna have a brackish water species of turtle that if you come at someone saying, hey, like you can't own a Diamondback terrapin and they're inland, where is there a saltwater inland state that they're native to? So there's a good thing and a bad thing with them because they're so beautiful and all this stuff, but like they have the adaptation to where a terrapin, it's not turtle, right? It's a turtle, but terrapin means, with the brackish water species, turtle. So like you have that buffer to be like, man, like you're not, you don't have to worry. You should not have to worry in essence because it's a brackish water species of turtle. So that's kind of where that line. It's not even a fine line. It's a pretty black and white line, from my perspective. To where if you're inland of any of the coastal states, you really don't have no worry or concern, or should not. If not, if so, guess what? I'm the first one to tell you, like you can or can't. And then guess what? I'll buffer with education. Most people don't even know, like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, it's okay. If you didn't do your research, it's okay. But I'm gonna give it to you. Most people don't want to back the research or any of that stuff up, right? It's almost like, oh, you can't, and they're like, okay, they're left, in the dark.
Right.
And yeah, man. So, all right. So,
And because it's brackish water, how much of a difference do you see in keeping the Diamondbacks versus like with the snappers, right? You essentially, as long as you can maintain like a silt kind of going through and fresh water movement, it's fairly easy to keep a snapper.
so
Most
most,
turtles.
yeah. So the biggest thing is that, and this is opinionated because if you were to go on the Diamondback Terrapin forum or Facebook page, you'll get a lot of feedback.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm old school. Um, the first thing I tell people, if you want to own one, it's your preference. If you want to own one, fresh or brackish, total preference. I kept for fresh for many years, never had an issue, right? Um, if you want to keep brackish, I always say don't incorporate brackish before the first year, just to make sure they're hydrated, because a lot of people, they want to feed inside the enclosure because it's convenient, it's easy. Bro, do you realize that's not what I showed you adult wise, on top of what I will show you with juveniles and babies? Sorry. um
You're good.
I feed outside the enclosure every single one of them. You know how much time that takes? But if I do that, I know every animal, I know how they work, I know how they function, I know how they're eating. Man, like it's So you're telling me if I sell you an animal and I say, hey, look, it's best to feed them outside the enclosure just to make sure they're feeding, make sure they're eating, they get used to you, they get used to, just you. Most people, and I don't want to neglect this, but like a lot of people, even with Diamondback Terrapins, they feed inside enclosure, which is totally fine, preference, right? But because I feed outside the enclosure, not only am I um, benefiting from the mess that they produce from an aquatic turtle, but when I get them outside, they're used to me picking them up, putting them inside another area, putting them back in to where, bro, every one I bring to a program, guess what? Or a show, I can put 3 different turtles in that are 3 different enclosures, put them in the same one, and they all get along. No nipping, no biting, none of that stuff because they're acclimated to socialization. Like it makes a difference. And that's just me personally because I don't want to pick up a turtle that's gonna open its mouth up at me every time I pick it up. I don't want that. That's me personally. So I promise every single person, you're not gonna get that. Now, what you do further after you get something from me, that's on you. But as you'll see when I bring them out, how I actually work them into feeding and all that stuff, you're gonna see the difference, even as babies, because I have a totally off the wall technique of how to keep even as babies that most people will be like, "Well, that looks weird." I'm like, well, weird works. So that's I don't know if you can see right now. So I'm gonna go in the backyard. I have a spotlight. Let me know if you can see or not. So I have a little pond filter right there. That's just a waterfall. Let's see. And then over here, that's the big tortoise enclosure.
Okay.
So I like to kind of like you said, I like to I try to my tortoises come inside with me at night. Well, during the wintertime, during the colder months, to where
Mm-hmm.
I know I can actually watch over them, obviously, because they're not going to survive in Ohio. Um, and but they have the outside environment where it's easier to keep. I don't know if you T-bone, but
I'm losing you a little bit. I don't know if you can hear me, but I think we hit the range for your Wi-Fi.
you there?
Yeah, we're back. We
I
lost
lost you.
you for
So,
a second. Yeah.
I'm going to show you this. I'm in my house now. I'm going to show you. I'm not going to open the cage up too much because she's still acclimating. But this is going to be the new reveal of what I got. Trying to
Oh
not.
man, hold on. I hope you guys are ready for this. If you're ready for this and you're watching right now, give us a thumbs up. Give us some love. Mr. Ed Komara is going to be revealing what a lot of us tried to. Hey, wait a second. Wait, I'm pretty sure I guessed this. We're gonna have a talk after this, Ed. We're gonna have a talk after this. We're going to do a reveal of what he just brought in. He actually had a contest going that if you could guess, you would get a Komara outdoor shirt. So I think I won a shirt without knowing that I won a shirt. Um, I'll let you do the honors, bro. Do your thing. Super excited for this portion.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm using a hook right now because I don't want to give it away, but it's in the water, and I'm not gonna try to stress her out. So because she actually will, she's getting used to it. It's been only 2 days, but so without showing you, with showing you, because I can't see with this camera turn around, but so this is going to be the new edition right now.
That is freaking gorgeous. Oh my goodness. So
I don't know
for
if you've seen
those
that green
that
up.
don't get that 5 seconds of silence, or 5 seconds of video and just get dead silence in the audio, can you explain what you just showed us?
So that is Morticia. Morticia is a 9.5 foot female green anaconda that I got shipped from many straight states away. So she's been acclimated to a lot of programs. I don't say programs, but a lot of handling and stuff like that. So I have a male already. As you can see, I can probably show you the male. He's probably hiding in his enclosure right there. But
Outstanding.
I figured, if you work with snakes, until you work with an anaconda, you don't know. You don't know. And it wasn't until it's almost like if you have like and I'm not knocking it, but it's almost like a bearded dragon as opposed to a black dragon. It's almost like the intelligence, just the demeanor, just everything changes. It's a whole different caliber. And I fell in love with them, man. And so I knew if there was any species that I was maybe ever going to want to work with more, it was going to be the anaconda. So when she came up for availability, you better believe I'm going to jump on that. So
I freaking love them, dude. They're amazing. So I have a friend. I'm not sure who you got yours from, but I have a friend named Megan Kelly.
yeah. Is that's mega contact, right?
Yep. And I have three of her green anacondas that I've had the pleasure of spending time with.
I didn't even
And
know
those
that.
three know my scent. They're very comfortable with me. The other ones, not so much. You could tell the difference between the ones I've worked and the ones I haven't. But they're just that's a different species, man. Like they're so much fun.
Well, the thing is, like, even when you handle them, I'm not neglecting the berms or anything like that, but like they they sense and they smell. They analyze way
Different.
more. It's an intelligence thing, Correct me if I'm wrong, but like, it's just like a different caliber. Unless you've worked with them or experienced them, you're not gonna know. And well, it's a little bit dark. I probably won't be able to do justice. That'll be guess what? That'll be a next time experience if I can get T-Bone out. But what I want to do, because I know we're kind of getting over time, I really want to show you guys, my the babies real quick, if that's okay.
That's a good reference right there, sis. Pug owners that want a Rottweiler.
Yeah, right.
So I will say, like retics, they have a lot more intelligence than we give them credit for. Right?
Yeah. All reptiles. I mean,
They're
all.
very food driven, like most predators are, right? But you could see her working, and one of the people I'm trying to get on this show is Duran Guerrero.
Yeah.
And he target trains his retics. His retics have become target trained. So they understand, hey, I have to hit the ball. I have to not strike it. I have to like actually gently touch it. That's when I get fed. Or I have to do this. And he has different colored balls, like he's working them to see if they base off of color, all kinds of stuff. Like I love what he's doing.
Wow. That's pretty crazy, man. Because most people aren't gonna do that to go to that extreme. Because it's almost like when I do my programs, most people say, "Hey, look, I have this. I have a bearded dragon, or I have this," and they're like, "It doesn't act like this." My first thing is like, "Hey, the way we can change that is that you you work with that species when it's inconvenient, right? So I said you wanna bridge that gap and you want to break that wall down. Don't work with it when it's convenient for feeding, for handling, for cleaning. You work with that species when it's outside those four walls to where it's like, hey, bring it outside, let it hang out in the yard. You know, I'm going to show you my rack system that I custom built for my bearded dragons right now, and every one of them is unique in their own way. So, like here, I'll show you right now. So that's Betty White. She's a hypo zero white. So, and then you got Stubby, who's like more of the red dragon orange tint.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Stubby because he got his back leg bit off from a sibling and it healed just as a nub. And then you got, this dude right here that's got as a rescue. And he's still working in progress. But, it's you get to know your animal, get to know their personality. So I showed you guys the large waterland tubs, right? They're like 9 foot long. So if you want to see what a medium holds probably about 80 gallons. So this is a medium. So you can fit a medium in your basement inside the walls. But guess what? I'm going to show you some guys really some special if I can. These guys, I'm just kidding. This is a disclaimer. These are my top notch guys. These are top notch. And that's the reason why they're inside. So how many guys have actually seen like something like this?
Look at that. Is that patternless?
Spotless.
That is
Not a mark on her.
gorgeous.
And then you got these guys, which are actually these guys are actually the most rare. Called a mangrove. They live in they're indigenous to the Key West. So they have like a
That's like a whole different color of blue, man.
so you got a flower back on the back. You got a blue, pink, purple tone, skin tone. You're looking at probably at one time those mangroves were going for $50K a pair.
Wow.
Not long ago either. You didn't even have anything to say about that. People don't even know about that kind of stuff, right? So I'm going to show you real quick my rack system. So these are the small waterline tubs, and I have them on pretty much the best industrial gladiator setup. So this is what the rack system kind of looks like. And
That's
just
really cool, man.
yeah, so these are empty. But as you can see, I'm trying to maybe grab one because they're all kind of like going crazy. Let me see if I can grab one real quick.
Look at those. And I really wish these were legal in Texas.
So,
That's such a cool looking freaking animal.
and then, we go another step further. And so this is my one incubator that they just they still have to have a little bit of yolk left to heal. So when terrapins have a little bit of yolk left to heal, I like to give a damp towel. Still let them acclimate before I hit them water. So what you see here is kind of like they're still acclimated to. They're still getting acclimated to.
So it's kind of like what we as snake keepers do when, like, right after they've absorbed their yolk, we give them that time on that damp towel just to fully go through and then shed out. But
Exactly,
that's
because
for it to fully absorb and heal, right?
yeah, because you're talking about a turtle that that is not used to doing that until they actually soak up the yolk in the wild, and you know they can drown. They can, there's so many different things that can happen. But you want to make sure they're comfortable and all kind of stuff. I'm actually going to show you. It's going to be the last thing I show you guys. I'm going to try to actually do it justice. This is going to kind of, I'll say blow you guys' mind, but it's going to be a little bit different. I'm at least gonna try to do it justice a little bit. So if you can bear with me now, because I like to do proper lighting and stuff. So I'm gonna show you guys the next step in the process. So you have the babies. Once they're ready for water, I transition them. So what I like to do, and I found this out from my old schooler a long time ago. Um, Most people have, especially with turtles, they have an issue with nipping, tail biting, all this kind of stuff, right? So the way you can buffer that is to get them used to eating first, to where when they have food presenting, all they're used to doing is nipping and biting, right? So you want to get them used to eating, targeting, eating. Then after that, you can socialize them after that because they're already used to eating, right? So this is where this process comes to play. It's crazy as it sounds. People are like, I've had so many comments, from other things, and they're like, they're like, what? Bro, I hate to say it's as simple as this, but this is how I do it. Let me show you. I wish I could flip this camera, but so I'm gonna turn to you. So what does that look like to you?
It's a tackle box.
Right?
Are those little babies separately?
Yep.
It's freaking awesome.
So I have them in a tackle box because it separates them. They're able to eat, get used to the water, eat before they have to worry about even a hint of socializing. So, the plants are just kind of like a vicarious thing, but yeah, man, like, I have them separated. I have each tackle box separated by gender, by whatever gene I'm working with, so it's easy to kind of like keep a track line of it. This is actually one of the best ones I've produced this year. His name is Wishbone. Let's see if I get it. And if he probably won't come out, but top of his head actually almost like a wishbone, kind of like you know, pattern to him. So yeah, man, like then after this, I analyze them. I get them, okay, this one's eating, this one's eating. When most of them, if not all of them, are eating, then I transition them to a bigger, like 28 quart, or whether it's a mixing tub or the waterland tubs. Then I add that in to where now I know I don't have to worry about them, you know, saying tail biting, but yeah, I mean, like I've never actually had that issue after I've done this process. Not to say it's never going to happen, but I've never had it happen yet. So those are those things where, as simplistically as they sound, but methodically, but how much time it actually takes to do that. How many people are actually going to do that kind of stuff? So that's what separates. If you want to be,
Oh, did it again. Did it again. Here we go.
can you hear? If you want to stand
Right
out,
there. There you go. You're good.
that if you want to be in this community, hobby, industry, if you want to stand out, go above and beyond what most people won't do, because that's actually what's gonna propel you to stand out. You don't do it to stand out. You don't do it to stand out. That's not going to be a motive. But you do that because you love the animal. You love what you do.
100%.
That's why you do it. Because guess what? The reason why I can keep in this wheelhouse and everything I do, because I put the animals first and I love what I do, because I don't rely on them for, I'd say it, but like half my livelihood depends on animals, right? But if I put a demand on it, it almost gives a watered down bad um just outlook on me and my heart personally.
Right.
then and then instinctively I actually be like, I put a demand on this animal, like, man, it didn't produce, it didn't, this. Well, guess what, man? Like, who cares? Because guess what? I've had so many. My females go through rotations every year, and if one does and doesn't, then the next year it does. That year is gonna freaking be bomb. Patience is a virtue, man. Love your animals, do what you do, and it will prove out, man. So that's why I've been able to stay in it for the past 13 plus years, because most people don't want to get into turtles, but even people that did, they come in and they come out within 2-3 years. They're in and out. Like you. I mean, how many years do you have invested in your projects? Love what you do, and guess what, man? Like that how the more you can't. I put it this way: the more time you take to do something doesn't mean you're devaluing it. It means you're valuing it more. To where, guess what? When you put a value on something, once it comes to the forefront, man, you can be confident, you can be secure, you can be like, man, I produced this, it took that, and people are going to see that. So they're not buying off of visualization, they're buying off of you and what the animal has the value to them going forward, man.
I like that.
So,
And Ed, I appreciate you, bro. You have some amazing animals. I love, love, love what you're doing over there. I especially want to hit on this again, just one last time before we wrap up. The fact that you're able to take this, you focus more on the education, man. Like your educational shows are your backbone. It's not your breeding. Although breeding is important, right? We got to keep the future generations set up. But man,
no,
the
dude,
love and admiration that you have given to future generations of reptile keepers, your ability to share a love for one of the most overlooked species is amazing.
overlooked. I say, you say overlooked. I say every time I do my program, my thing is, I say underappreciated. And it's like, bro, like, guess what? I promise you, I don't know how many people I have. I don't care whether it's 1 or 100 or 300 or 400. You will appreciate these animals after my programs, because I pour. You know, I'm not a cookie cutter when I do my programs, man. I will contact you. I'll talk to you. How many people? How you have set up? Whether it's mental awareness, whether it's the hindrance, whether it's high school, whether it's not. I don't care. I don't care. But I do care about my audience. I care about every single individual, whether it's teacher, whether it's counselor, whether it's kid, whether it's teen. I mean, the way I put it when I do my programs, I said, you know what? I do my programs because if I do my programs, I get you all amped up, and that I leave you on a cliffhanger, and you want one of these, then where are you gonna go? I leave myself open and be like, hey, look, I'm not just whatever. Like, come talk to me. Like, that's why you probably don't see me on some big YouTube or, whatever, because I invest so much in my animals and my care and what I do in my art. Because, I'm not knocking YouTubers, because if you can do it, you can do it. That's fine. But if I'm gonna invest in time, it's gonna be time in my animals and my process, because if you can reach out to me and feel like, hey, look, I'm just one of you, that I never want to I never want to negate that. I want you to feel like you can reach out to me, whether it's email, text, you know Instagram, Facebook. Just reach out to me. I want to help you, because the more people we help in the future going forward, that's how we're going to change this whole entire perspective of this industry. And
Absolutely.
like, we just got to do our part. We got to step up and not just care about our own little box of just selling animals that we spent years on doing, man. Like, if you back that up with your passion, man, like, you can't fail. And failure seems like a relative terms, whether it's dollar amount, but it's not. It's success is impact. That's mine. So.
All right, Ed,
Oh,
well,
I
as
think
we wrap up, what's one thing that you would like to leave everyone that listens to this, whether it's now or in the future, with?
uh, I think I pretty much already said it. Just find something you're truly passionate about, and that's not to say like dibble and dabble because I did it. I've owned most turtle species. Find something that speaks to you, and not even speaks to you to where let me put it to as black and white as you probably can have. If you have any kind of inclination, if you don't know what you want to work with, ask yourself one question. If there's one species or anything you have or would like to own or care for the future, and this is like going from like you have no other option. There's one species you could work for the rest of your life, what would it be? Whatever first comes to mind in your heart and your gut, go with that, run with that, because you can't fail because all you can learn is glean and learn from that animal. That's how I did with terrapins. I looked at my whole entire wall, and me and my wife were just about to get married, and we're about to just have our firstborn, daughter. And I knew I wouldn't have the investment it would take. So I looked at my wall. I said, something inside of me said, if you had one species to work with and you dialed in and you went all in on your rest of your life, that's not to say you can't own anything else, but that's like one of those dogmatic, like, hey, look, be real. Those terrapins, and look where it got me now. And now, from that, and from that, I was able to build upon that with snappers and all this programs. I'm like, so most people have to be real with themselves in essence. So that's ask yourself that question. I don't care what I say, what you heard from this whole entire video, but ask yourself that one question. If there's one species, something you will look up for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Okay. Love that. Ed, appreciate you so much, bro. I'm going to throw you in the back for a second and go ahead and wrap this up.
Go, bro.
Y'all, I hope you got something from this. I think there was a lot of truth spoken tonight. Like, we got to see some amazing animals, without a doubt, some amazing animals shown. But I think that the truth that came out of this podcast will hopefully be everlasting, right? We need to get back to the educate. We need to bring that passion back forward. We've been, I'll say it, I'm guilty of it myself. Being a business major and like getting my MBA and stuff, my mind constantly goes into business and it just kind of clicks in my head, right? I do so much better and I'm so much happier with every sale when I get the educational point out or I take the time with that customer. And I'm not saying that I don't vet all my customers because I do, but there's definitely those where I'm like, okay, you've had a few snakes or I've seen you around the shows a lot. Let's give them a chance. Um, take the time. The education's so important, so important. And when we're doing that, we're setting them up for success. We're setting our animals that we're giving them up for success. And we're giving the opportunity to grow this industry, this hobby, whatever you want to call it. I know I usually say industry, but like honestly, it started as a hobby for all of us. And those that have been able to grow it into something more, congratulations. Um, the hobby is where we all start, that gleam in a child's eyes when they get over that fear, or that adult that was scared of a snake or scared of anything because it's going to be slimy and it's not a furry animal, so it's not okay. Once you get them beyond that, that's the best freaking feeling in the world. I know educational shows is something I'd like to implement more one day. I don't do enough of them. I hope you guys think about that. Next week, we are back. We will have Mr. Robbie Richard from Argen. And he's doing some amazing stuff with Desert Ghost and a lot of other ball python mutations. So I hope you guys check us out for that next week. This has been another episode of Outside the Clutch. We'll see y'all later. Thanks. Stay blessed.